Caleb Taylor, and today, again, I have the wonderful opportunity and joy to be sitting next to Mr. Clay Clark, the CEO of Thrive15.com. And today, we're going to be discussing this topic of networking with him. Specifically, we're going to be discussing the boomerang theory. You know, you give a referral, and it'll come right back to you. Nobody knows this better than Mr. Clay Clark. Hey, we're glad that you're watching these episodes, and we want you to be taking those notes, okay? But more than anything, we want you to apply what you're learning here to your personal life and to your business. If you don't, this episode could be so meaningless because we believe that knowledge without application is meaningless. So don't make this episode more meaningless than a silent film on vinyl. All right, today we are going over networking. We're going to do a deep dive here. Yep, and we're going to focus first of all on referrals.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about the boomerang philosophy. Do you have much experience with the boomerang?
I do. Well, I don't. The physical boomerang, not very
much. That's what I meant, a physical boomerang.
But I'm really into Australian culture.
Okay, that's good to know. That's neat. Here at Thrive, all cultures.
Yeah.
Send a referral and you will soon receive a referral.
Yeah.
Now, Clay, I know that we've all heard the different sayings, do unto others as you'd have them do unto yourself. But you believe that's more than just a nice cliche. You think that can specifically be applied to business and networking and help you thrive.
Yeah, I can just say I know specifically that when I got out of college or when I got out of high school, this idea is you're going to go out and just storm the earth and just take over like it's one big game of capture the flag, and you're just going to be ambitious and you're going to sell stuff and you're going to build a company but you don't realize that nobody has any desire to do anything every day other than to help themselves. So you really have to go out of your way to help other people before they're willing to even consider helping you.
Well, what's interesting is Forbes magazine would agree with you.
Oh, hey now.
Yeah. The article that came out in March this year in Forbes magazine said, building solid relationships in business is about helping others succeed and moving their efforts forward. This benefits both parties. Relationships are built easily, naturally, and profitably when you focus on helping the other party. That perfectly encapsulates what you were saying. Yeah,
well, I'll just give you an example. For Thrive, we have a lot of venture capital partners. And these are guys who have a high net worth. They're very successful. And at one point, I was just a disc jockey. And I'm trying to get to know, and saying you're a disc jockey, if you're watching this and you're a DJ, there's nothing wrong. We share in this. We share in this burden, this cross we bear. But people are like, they assume that you live with your mom.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with living with your mom. It's just they assume that, your mom supports you and you might be 25 and you probably work at the carnival if you weren't a DJ.
It's an upgrade from a clown. Just a little bit upgrade from a clown.
If you're a clown, I'm not trying to rip you. There's an industry there. Okay. So here's the thing, is that, you meet these people at a chamber event. And what would happen is they're assuming that you're not a credible person. So I had to make a decision. What am I going to do to help them? So it starts by just at the chamber asking them, so what are your goals? And when you ask somebody what their goals are when you meet them at a breakfast or a lunch, they're not ready for that. And then when you say, well, tell me about your company, and again, they're not ready for it.
Right.
And then you say, well, let me ask you this, like, what sort of services do you provide that maybe my company could utilize? And they say, again, they don't grasp what you're doing because they're like, you're taking an interest in them. And then after the chamber luncheon, you send them a little handwritten note and you show up at their place of business and you buy something.
Oh, gosh.
And so you have very little money, but you're buying something from them. Yeah. Or you're offering them a free service, or you're doing something. And it starts to activate. They start to say, wow, this DJ I met at the chamber, he just did my daughter's birthday for free. He just sent me a handwritten note. He just came in and bought stuff from me. Either this guy's crazy or I like him.
Right. Oh, and one of the things you said there, I'm thinking of specific action steps, is you asking them questions. It's going back to your 70-30 rule almost in a lot of ways. You're making sure that they're talking a lot, you're showing an interest in them, and then you're providing a value.
Exactly.
Another Forbes article that I read said, connectors understand the necessity of creating value for others. If you want to be in the middle of the action, you must seek ways to enhance the lives of those surrounding you. The best connectors I know are extremely generous with introductions where they make sense. One of my favorite questions is, what are you most excited about right now? From that answer, I know who I can hook that person up with. And I mean, just like you said, you've got those questions that you ask people. What are you doing? Tell me about your business. How can I?
You really have 5 questions that you like to ask if you can.
Okay, go.
You ask somebody first off, you ask them what their name is, and they'll tell you. And then you say, because a lot of times we forget, we just talk at someone, we don't even ask them their name.
Right.
And then we say, well, what's your name? And they tell us, and you say, well, let me ask you this. Where are you from? And then they'll tell you where you're from. Well, what's great is you might have a connection there.
Yeah.
And then you say, so let me ask you, kind of tell me about your family, because people love talking about their kids and their wife. And then you ask the next 2 questions that are kind of big. So what do you do? And they tell you. And then you say, so what's kind of your goals this year? And by asking these 5 questions.
Yes, name, where you're from, family, what do you do, what are your goals?
Yeah. And then what will happen is you'll find out like that this guy is from Oklahoma State University.
Right.
He has a family with a couple kids. He is a banker, and his goals are to get as many deposits as possible. And all of a sudden you say, wow, I now know what his goals are. I can bridge that gap. He's from OSU. I can refer to it. He's got a great family. I can have a little rapport there. And usually at that point, the person you're talking to will then ask you, well, tell me about yourself. But what you have to do, this is the step that no one does.
Tell us.
You have to write on the business card when you meet them all this information as quickly as possible so you don't forget. So literally after the chamber event, you're in your car on the dashboard just writing out, and then you get back and you reference that in the letter.
Right.
So you say, hey, Sean, go Cowboys! ! Yeah. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I want to tell you we're going to send you a little special gift for you and your kids, and I look forward to banking with you soon.
It's impossible not to stand out if you do that.
Yeah, and if you just consistently follow up, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.